Hello and welcome to this presentation about LumenRT for AecoSIM Building Designer users. My name is Gernot Jeromin. I'm a Senior Application Engineer at Bentley Systems. Today is about creating good-looking visualizations. We want to enrich an AecoSIM Building Designer project with visualization content, and we want to create stunning-looking pictures, videos, and other kind of presentations. When I started to work with LumenRT, I got asked, why should I use LumenRT if I'm running a MicroStation platform application like AecoSIM Building Designer? Well, after this presentation, you will understand why I believe that LumenRT is another way to dive into the world of reality modeling. I want to give you 5 main reasons what I believe an application like LumenRT has to cover. First of all, it has to work with AecoSIM Building Designer. While I'm not talking about an export and import only, it has to provide much more. I'm expecting an easy interface, including the support of the material attachments and an update if the ABD model gets modified. In the past, I've worked with a lot of different visualization applications. Usually, they are not so easy to use. And simple stuff can be very time consuming, like creating a camera path or for video production or placement of additional content. Easy to use has something else very important included, save of time, because this is where we can save money. In general, AecoSIM Building Designer is doing a great job if it comes to 3D libraries and objects. I want to add content that is made for great looking visualizations. In addition, I want to add content from other applications as well, but more about that later. If we are dealing with reality modeling, we have to handle huge amount of data, meshes with hundreds of thousands of faces, material mapping, maybe hundreds of cars, trees, people, and other objects. All these needs an application that can handle huge amount of data. And at the end, it's all about the output, stunning looking pictures and videos. Anything that will help us to share our project with other stakeholders, even if they want to walk through the virtual model without any application needed. And this is when our live cubes come into play. So let us have a look at where LumenRT is coming from. End of 2015, Bentley Systems has acquired Eon Software. Eon is the leading developer of quality solutions for the creation, rendering, and integration of natural 3D environment. The interesting part of it is that you all have seen movies where software from Eon Software has been used, maybe without knowing it. Eon software solutions have been used in many cinematic productions like Avatar or How to Train Your Dragon. However, LumenRT is only one application which came with the acquisition through Bentley Systems. And this is what we want to focus on today. LumenRT is a standalone renderer which gives you a real-time interface to visualize not only GIS projects, urban planning projects, engineering projects, but also helps architects to tell a better story by allowing their audience to experience their design. The workflow can look like this. First, we start our project in AecoSIM Building Designer. Remember, this could be any other application as well. From there, we go to LumenRT, where we bring our design to life. And at the end, we are going to create pictures, videos, and live cubes. So let us have a look at the workflow a little bit more in detail. This is now my AecoSIM Building Designer project, which I have created previously. I have a couple of buildings, I have a site model, and if I have a closer look, I've attached materials like bricks, concrete, glass, metals. And here at this tree, I've inserted a circular bench. So where's this bench coming from? In AecoSIM Building Designer, I have a huge library of objects, but there are other ways to import these objects into my project. One of these sources could be on the Connect services where I find the catalogs. And in these catalogs, I can find stuff for bridges, buildings, marine vessels, and other things. And one of these categories is street furniture. And in this street furniture, I find other benches, dustbins, and general bus stations. And one of these objects is my circular bench. And if I go to the details, I find maybe a description and other stuff. Most important here is documents. And this is where I can find the DGN, which I can download. I've done that. And this is what I've inserted here in my AecoSIM Building Designer project. Another thing what I've done, I've inserted some trees. And this tree, in fact, comes from AecoSIM Building Designer. And if I go to my level manager, you can see that I have two different levels of trees. And one is for the AecoSIM Building Designer one, and the other one are LumenRT trees. So where's this LumenRT tree coming from? If I go to elements, I can find cell libraries. And this is by default empty, and I can go in there and load a library. In my case, since I have installed LumenRT on my workstation, I find a drop-down menu. And there I have a command to load a content library for LumenRT. And next time, if I go to the cells, I will find a cell library for LumenRT. And in there, it's a bunch of objects like people, plants, vehicles. And the only thing what I have to do is just selecting what I want, turn off these objects, and place them in my 3D model. These objects are prepared to work really good with AecoSIM with LumenRT. You see that later when we go to LumenRT to have a look at it. Another thing what I've done here, I have inserted a traffic simulation. If I go to visualization and I inserted here a single lane traffic. And this is based on a spline which I've placed, and then I've added these vehicles. But these vehicles are not MicroStation cells. And if I go in there, you would see I have used LumenRT vehicles. And they are also prepared to work really good with LumenRT. You see that in a moment. So now I have my building, I have trees, I have traffic. I can add a lot of more stuff in here. But now, how can I bring my project to LumenRT? The first thing that I need, I create a camera view, so perspective, and then I go to LumenRT and say export to LumenRT. What it does now, it will take my whole project, it will export it to LumenRT and open LumenRT in the next step. So when I've done that, we will have a look now at LumenRT more in detail. This is where I want to enrich my model. I want to modify objects. I want to adjust settings. So this is all what I'm going to do in LumenRT. So that would be the next phase. So here we are now in LumenRT. And if we have a look at it, we can see my buildings, which I've created, the plants, the trees, and even the vehicles with the traffic simulation, which I've used. And if we have a closer look, here's the branch. But the first thing I want to do, I want to enrich my project. So if I zoom out a little bit and rotate my view, this is what I do with my mouse and just keyboard settings. You see that on the bottom. In this case, I have a sky, I have a background, and let's modify that. First of all, I want to change the background. I have a lot of terrains. This is a simple ground, but it could be Caribbean, like on an island. It could be in the desert. But in this case, I want to have it rolling hills, so it's green background and some hills in the background. So and this is now has been changed. Now I have green grass and the rolling hills in the background. It's looking better already. The next thing I want to modify is this guy. If I have a look at it, I want to adjust it. First of all, I go to my cloud settings, and I want to add in the weather a little bit more clouds. So it can be really cloudy, or it could be a little bit blue sky. I want to have a few like this. And you see how they move already, like they fly over my project. And in the background, you can see it could be a clear sky or a clean air, or it could be hazy. Then it will be a little bit unsharp in the background. So we can change even the direction of the clouds where they fly and the speed, how fast they are going to move in the sky. If you zoom in here now, you see the textures like my concrete, bricks, glass, and all of that came across from AecoSIM Building Designer. And I want to add additional content like trees, people, animals. Oh, I can even add fishes. So I can dig a hole, put some water in there, and put some fishes in there and I swim around. I have vehicles and other content. But the first thing I want to use, I want to add additional, or just a few people. I have different kind of people, like sitting people, walking people, groups, even leisure people, and animals, sitting, running, and as I mentioned before, fishes. But I want to start with someone standing, and I just select one of these guys and place them here in my 3D model. So if I done that, I can adjust him a little bit. So I can rotate him in a different direction. I can move him around just by using the arrows and move him. The interesting thing about all these objects, if I take them and move them around, they know where the level of my objects is. So it knows where's the top of the surface, and it will be placed perfectly in my project. But this is where I want to keep him. Let's add someone else. I want to add now a sitting fellow because I have a bench and this is where I want to place him. So I'm select him here out of the library. And then I can place him here on the bench, zoom in a little bit, rotate him to the right position. And here is now, I have now two people. Very nice. But two is not enough. I want to add much more. So instead of placing them one by one, I have a brush tool. And in the brush tool, I can add multiple people, objects in one step. So I can go into the database and just select all of them I want to have. I don't want to have sitting people, it doesn't make sense. But here, the standing people, selecting some. And then I can go to the brush. And then you would see that I will have this circle. And the circle, this is the area where I want to place my content, my people. So I can change the size by the slicer, just typing in the number. Flow and softness is just an information how they should place, how many if I make a mouse click and so on. However, I just move my mouse over my project, press and hold my mouse key, and I will place a bunch of people in one step. So that was really, really fast. If I want to modify anything, I can go in there, like there's this bicycle guy. I don't need him. I delete him. Let's have a look over here. So there's another one. I don't want to delete them. I want to keep him. I want to move him over here onto the grass ground. And I can give him, I can animate him. I can give him a path. We're just selecting points and say this is how he should move around, drive around. So just selecting here these points, just by clicking. You see that he will follow the steps up. And now let's have a look at how it will look like. That's his path, and we can simulate how we will drive around. Now let's speed him up a little bit. A lazy guy has to work a little bit faster. And if I don't like the path, of course I can go in there and just by moving around these grip points, it's looking different. Excellent. So next thing what I want to do, I want to add some plants, some trees. These trees have been imported by AecoSIM Building Designer. But let's zoom out, and here in the front, this whole area, this is where I want to add some trees. I have a huge library, seasonal trees, standard trees, palm trees, shrubs, bushes, hedges, a lot of stuff. But like we did before with the people, I can place them one by one at a specific point, or like going in here and just want to brush all these trees in one step. And you see how I'm going to place hundreds of trees just in a few seconds. I can adjust the size of the circle and say I want to have here a few more and here this area. I like that. And if I do a mistake like here, whoops, I placed something on the roof, I'll just do an undo, and that's it. If we have a closer look at these trees, if I zoom in here, see, well, let's play a little bit with other settings. The first thing I want to do, I want to change is the time, the season. Let's say this season. Let's start in winter. And you see everything is a little bit naked. And then I move over to spring, change the season, and summer, and in fall everything get colored, really colorful now. And at the end in winter, everything is naked again. So let's find a season where everything is looking nice. So late summer maybe is not too bad. And you see that all the trees are looking all a little bit different sizes. They vary in the colors. So it's really, really realistic what we are doing here. And another thing, if we have a closer look in here, is they should, if I create a movie, that these trees, they should move in the wind. If we have a pay attention to these 5 stars and the lower right edge, that's the quality of the current visualization. So if I say I want to have a little bit better, you see that I see already shadows, and you see already that the leaves are a little bit moving, but I don't have a lot of wind, so it's not a lot of action going on. But if I go to the wind of plant setting and I say, I want to have it more window, and then you see that not only the leaves, also the whole tree is a little bit more shaking. So we can adjust the season, we can adjust the wind, we have adjusted the sky and all of that. And you see, we've seen already that a lot of shadows. So this is how I can enrich my project. And this enrichment is endless. I can add interior stuff, exterior stuff. I can even put windows at the walls. Exterior, when I have a street light, for instance, can place it anywhere. And so there's a lot of stuff in there. And this is basically what we can do. But let's try to adjust something else. So if we have a closer look at my windows, and from AecoSIM Building Designer, the material which came from there is glass. I can change that. I could change that to anything else, like metals or concrete or wood or whatever, and then that doesn't make any sense. But I want to adjust, for instance, the color of the glass. So I want to have that maybe a little bit more bluish or greenish glass. So let's change that. You can see that down there in the preview and say OK. And now you see that the color has changed a little bit, is more greenish. I can modify other settings like the transparency, reflection, and how the glass has to behave. So it will be a really accurate representation of all these materials, how they how objects will be mirrored, how will be shine through, blurry, bumping, and all of that. So it's material editor included. And this is all the preparation phase. Let's add some other stuff, maybe a car. I'm selecting it here out of the library. And by the way, there's a lot of stuff in there, like heavy machines, buses, trucks, even ships or vessels I can place in water, flying objects. Well, but in this case, I just want to have a, let's say, an SUV, and I place it here on the street, like this. Of course, I want to modify the direction, and I can even change the color. So I want to have that in blue. I want to have a blue car. And like we did before with the bicycle, I can give it a path, so it will drive around like this. So this is now the preparation phase, and now we want to create in the next step some content. So and this would be the last step in the process where all the magic will happen. In general, there are three types of renderings or results I want to create. First of all, I want to create pictures. Then I want to create videos. And in addition, if I want to share my project with others, I want to create something which we call live cubes. And to explain what live cubes are, we will have a look at that. So here, I want to create some of these renderings. All these three outputs I've talked about before. So I'm back in my project. Maybe the final touch I want to just is want to have a look at is the shadows. You see that if I change the date, that the light will change a little bit, and the north direction, so from where the sun is coming from. I can, and the time, so I can say what time it is, and the shadows will be adjusted automatically, but also the light, like in the evening it's get this reddish color touch, and at midday everything is more sharp light, and so, and if I change here the north direction, and you see how the shadows will move around my project. So, just to mention, we can have day scene and night scene. So we can place lights, and there is a proper calculation of these lights. And you've seen it very quick. The even all the cars, they have lights, and uh, um, they will glow in the dark. So if I go in here now, and I want to find a nice spot where I want to look at my project. So just zoom in and pan and rotate and say, like this. This is where I want to look from. And there's a camera down there, and this is all I have to do. I just select the camera. I select the resolution, the quality of the output, and all of that. Press the camera button, and then it will create a rendering. It's not a screenshot. It's much more. It will calculate the shadows, the reflection in the windows, and all of that. At the end, when the flash appears, then it's a sign this, okay, the picture has been created. Okay, we will have a look at the results later. So the next step, what I want to do, I want to create a video. And video creation can be really time consuming, but in our case, it's really easy. The only thing that what I have to do is I have to define the camera path, and that is really easy in LumenRT. If I go to the create video command, I have already created here a video clip. Let's create a new one, say movie clip, and it will take the current position where I'm standing, where I'm looking at, and that's my starting point. And now I can use the zoom and pan and rotate command to go to a different location. And I want to look from here the next. So, and I can add this new camera position. And now it has been created automatically a 6-second camera path. Let's change my position again. Let's go up here, add another position. And now you would see that there is a 12-second scene. I can just have a look at it by creating a preview, and this is how the video would look like at the end. If I want to adjust that, if it's too long, for instance, I can use the sliders and modify that. I can change the direction where I'm looking from. I can add a voice to it and all of that. But let's have a look at what I've done. I've just changed this time, and now the video is much faster. It's a bit more dramatic. So if you say, okay, I like that. And like I did before with the pictures, I can go in there and say export the video. Which resolution? It goes up to 4K. The quality, I can say fast than it will be without the shadows and also just to create a small video. Super fine is including all the reflections, all the shadows and all that stuff. And the only thing we have to do is just say create it, and then it will create the video. And the last thing, I was talking about these live cubes. Well, this is, and when I go in there, I want to share my project with someone else. And this is where I can say, I want to create a live cube. I will explain a little bit later what this live cube is and how it's looking like, but I can create it for Windows environment or for Mac OS X operating system. Well, the only thing what I have to do is just say publish, or will be published. So let's have a look at the results we have created so far. We have created a picture. So that's a picture. I can see the objects, my cars. I can see the reflections in the windows, shadows, and all of that. So that's an exterior example. But LumenRT will work also in the interior. So this is a laboratory where I've placed a mirror at the wall and some pictures. So it's working inside and outside. And inside, it's an interior. The lights and shadow calculations really accurate. So it's a fantastic way to render your projects. Video production. So this would be the result of the video I've created. And this video is for outside, but it can also be for the inside. So in this case, I'm moving out of my window. And now let's have a look at the surrounding. As see here is city. So where's this coming from? In this case, I have used context capture, which is another solution for reality modeling at Bentley System. And what we do there is we take pictures with a digital camera and we create a 3D mesh out of these pictures. So in this case, you can take a drone or whatever, you fly over your area or something like that, and then we create the 3D mesh, and everything can be merged together. So this having said is you can have your AecoSIM Building Designer project in a real life environment. And when you mix it together, this is when then you can show on one hand how your project will look like in the existing environment, or you can even look out of the window like in the beginning of the video and see how the view out of the window will look like. Another example is how it will look like in the environment. In this case, it's a shadow study where I can say I go from the morning to the evening and see how the shadows and the light will work out including the surroundings because of the 3D mesh which has been created with context capture. Another example, so this is now a complete airport. It has been done with AecoSIM Building Designer. This roof structure has been done with AecoSIM Designer and generative components. And you can see that even large projects are not a problem to work with LumenRT. So what are now the live cubes? So this is what we have missed what I've missed to explain. A live cube is just an executable file, so you can go in there, send it to anyone, and it's a runtime included. So your stakeholders, they don't need anything. Just get the live cube as an executable, and go in there. Videos will be included, but also everything else. So then you can use the live cube to have a look around and observe your whole project, and this is an additional really nice way how you can share your projects with your stakeholders. So again, the 5 reasons why to use LumenRT for AecoSIM Building Designer projects. So I want to kind of review these 5 reasons I gave to you in the beginning. The first of all, always said it has to work with AecoSIM Building Designer. Well, and this is what it does. It will take all the materials, all the objects. It's seamless integration. You can even if you make a modification in AecoSIM, it will update your scene. You don't lose anything. So it's a really tight, really good integration between AecoSIM Building Designer and LumenRT. It's really easy to use, it's really fast, and you will save a lot of time creating your visualizations. And this is where you save a lot of time and a lot of money. It has a rich content library, and if that is not enough, you can import or use content from any other external applications and bring it to life in your projects. There are virtually no limitations. I have used in an example a complete city captured with context capture. It had over 2 million meshes in there, and then I've added this whole airport you've seen before in there, and it's no problem to work with huge projects as well. And at the end, this is the most important thing, we can create several different uh, uh, um, visualizations, like high quality pictures, stunning videos, and these live cubes we can share with others in the project without any other application. So thanks a lot for listening. If you have any other questions, just let us know.